Hey guys, welcome back to That I Like Garage. Today we are going to learn how to do a boost leak test on this Porsche 911 Turbo. And you could just use the same method for any other turbo application. But the parts in specifically are going to be towards this, but all the components are the same in any other application as well. You could do this for a Mitsubishi Evo, Subaru, a bunch of other cars. So let's start with pointing out the components and what we're going to be working on. So once the video progresses, you'll understand what it is that I'm doing. So let's go to that. So on this car, you have the intake manifold is right here. That thing in the back that the throttle body is connected to right here. Then you have this is a Y pipe, and you have a blow-off valve over here, and you have another one on this side. This side's bank 1, this side's bank 2. Then this Y pipe, which has boost pressure in it, so does this line that goes into the blow-off valve, and so as this little vacuum line right here. This has boost in it also. So in doing the boost leak test, I first did it without it, just to check the basics, and then once I hooked that up, it helped me, I progressed I put more and more components into the boost leak test so we could test everything out. This and this are both to the blow-off valves. These go to the intercoolers. So you have one intercooler pipe goes down into the intercooler here, and another one goes down to the intercooler on this end. If you look at it from here, the intercooler pipe connects right into the intercooler. Very short throw. Let me lift the car up, and we'll continue from there. All right, so we'll start from here. So this is the intercooler piping going into the intercooler. This is the intercooler body that leads it to the lower intercooler hose that goes straight into the turbo right here. This is the turbo inlet. This side doesn't get any boost. This gets the suction part of it. Anything after this point gets boost. So you don't need to do a boost leak test here. Everything behind it. Now, normally on some turbos, you'll have a place where the filter or some hose can go onto here without the bolts. So you could cap it over here and do your boost leak test. But in this instance, in this type of car, I take out this and I put a cap in there and put it back on. You'll see in a future part of the video. And this is those are the components for a turbo car, and those are the parts that we're going to check for boost leaks. So stay tuned and hopefully you learn something. Just do me a favor, hit the like button, put a comment if you have a question. Even if you don't, just say great job or something. That helps my video get noticed in the whole YouTube algorithm and all that nonsense mambo jumbo I don't even know and understand. But do that, it helps my videos, and that's it. So off camera, I got a few codes off the car, took it for a little test drive, and realized that we have a few boost leaks. So now we're going to do a boost leak test. We're gonna start from the bottom, and I'm gonna show you what I do. So first off, on the bottom, you got to take, well, this is the way I do it, so what I like to do, right? So I did it already, so I'm just showing you what I did. So I take a cap, something like this, or you could get also like some rubber caps, plumbing caps from Home Depot or Lowe's, and then you plug it in. So, and then tighten the strap on top of that. This way, there's no air that can go in and out. And you do that to both sides. You do that to both sides, and I'll show you what you do on the top. Okay, so After plugging them underneath, I took the air box out and I reinstalled this Y pipe. But what I did was I took this hose off and I plugged it from here. So it's something like this. You get these again from Home Depot. They're plumbing plugs. So I plugged it over here, and now we're stopping the pressure from going into the turbo. So basically all the pressure that's coming is going to be pressurized, is going to be from the turbo outlet through the intercoolers, both intercoolers, into this Y pipe and stop right here, and also go to the blow-off valves. So both blow-off valves will be tested at the same time. Over here, these two lines go to the blow-off valves, and over here, if you check over here, there's two lines that I disconnected. There's one line here I disconnected, and I plugged it with this T that I'll explain in a second, and another plug is here, another vacuum plug here. So I disconnected them, and in return I put two different hoses in there and plugged them into this T, and from the T into this air compressor nozzle, right? So let me just cut these because they're kind of getting in the way. All right, so now what I do here is, right before I do this, another thing is I take dish soap, any soap that bubbles easy, and water, mix it into a spray bottle, have it on hand. And at this point you want the shop or wherever you're working on the garage to be as quiet as possible, because you're listening for hissing sounds, and when you find a hissing sound you spray it with the bottle and you try to look and see for any bubbles. So I hear something already. So now we're going to add more pressure into the system, and you hear that leak? I hear it from this side. Let's bring the light. I hear it coming from here somewhere. Add more. All right, so we're going to put more pressure on it now. I hear the leak, and I'm going to spray. We're looking for bubbles. Maybe it's the connection over here on the intercooler. No, I see bubbles. You see the bubbles over there? It's coming from the intercooler itself. So the tab that's over here broke, I guess, from the accident. So I didn't notice that before. I noticed the tab missing. I didn't notice that there was a hole in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the intercooler off. And I have epoxy. I'm going to try to epoxy it before having to buy a new one. Put a nice epoxy, let it sit overnight, reinstall it, and then do this test again tomorrow. So let me pull this thing off, and we'll go from there. Here's my somewhat of a crude diagram. This is the engine. This is the intake manifold, throttle body. This is the Y pipe that goes into the throttle body right here. This is intercooler piping, all the oranges. Another thing is the orange is also vacuum lines that are going to our blow-off valves. We have two blow-off valves on both ends. And this is our intercoolers and turbos. So first thing is, if we were going to fill it up with pressure in the beginning, the air would come out from, and the way that I teed it, I fed pressure from here. This is where I fed pressure from, right? So I feed pressure through here, and this, you have to understand that this is connected to the throttle body, and it fills up all the heads and the valves and the plenum and intercoolers, all of that. So sometimes you have to separate a few parts out of it to find the problems, and that's what I needed to do. So the first thing I did was I put a cap over here on both ends. I put a cap. I'll show you the type of cap I used. Any type of cap would work. this is something that, you know, I put a cap like this and a hose clamp on top of it. Or, you know, even something like this, rubber. Either way, and then I put the rubber hose clamp back onto it and clamp it on really tight so it doesn't leak out from both ends. So this way I pressurize it, everything inside gets pressurized. So then when I was doing it, when I first started doing it, I noticed leaks in a lot of different places. So what I did was I sectioned it out to help find the leaks. This way you're not overwhelmed with everything. So what I originally did was I capped it over here as well. I'll show you. That's like a plumbing cap. So I used this. So I took the rubber hose that was on it that goes from here into the throttle body, and I disconnected it. I put this on. So when I originally did it, it pressurized the blow-off valve from this side without pressure. This was disconnected. So that was a little mistake I did in the beginning, which was fine. I found the first leak really quick, and it came out of the blow-off valve. But there's nothing that needed to be done. I needed to just hook up the vacuum line. So when the vacuum line is connected, it's pushing pressure from the top side of the piston and the bottom side. So that means the spring that is in there is going to make up the difference of pressure. So when I was originally pressurizing this side, let's just say got up to 20 psi, and this vacuum line was disconnected. Or we'll use this side. So if the vacuum line was disconnected, so that's 20 pounds of pressure pushing the valve open. Once you connect this, the 20 pounds of pressure that this side is getting it from here too, and therefore the spring can do its job, and the spring only needs to be only 5 pounds or something very low like that. So that was that. So once I solved that, I pressurized this whole area, and then I found 2 leaks over here, right? I solved those. I solved the first one with epoxy, and then I let it dry over one day. I put it back 24 hours, and then I put it back in, and then I got another one. So basically, the leaks go to the places of least resistance. So if you could have a bunch of different leaks, but it would only leak mainly from one area because that's leaking out everything. So once I solved this one was solved. Then after that, it was able to hold, the whole system was able to hold more pressure, and once it held more pressure, it started leaking out of that. I took out the intercooler, and I patched it up, and did the same thing, put it back in, and it no longer leaked from there. And then we found out that there was one on that side. So I fixed the one on that side, I patched it up, and it's holding it's holding easily 30 psi, and it's coming out a little bit out of the bottom of this intercooler. And again, I think it would have done that on factory form also, but in the future we'll I'll upgrade the intercoolers. For right now, they're okay. Then after that, I had a few leaks after I solved this whole area, the whole intercooler piping, all those areas, and the Y pipe. I solved all those leaks with also the blow-off valves weren't leaking. Then I moved on to taking out this cap, and I left these guys here, and I hooked it back up onto the throttle body, and then I introduced the whole engine too. And the engine was fine. It just started leaking through the hose clamp that was there. There's a little like accordion hose that goes from here to here. I clamped them with better clamps, and now it's holding the pressure fine. So I shouldn't have that issue anymore. So in a nutshell, that's how it works, how you do the boost leak test. Some people do some smoke tests, but to me it's not valid, because a smoke test doesn't allow for pressure. Like over here, let's just say the smoke test would have came out from here. and then I would have patched that up, and then the smoke test wouldn't open up for anything else. You needed pressure into everything to swell them and for them to get forced to come out. So if you're doing a vacuum leak test, smoke test would work fine, but in boost applications, I don't see them working. So that's what I did over here. I have an issue with the actuator that's on this side. I keep getting a hard code on that, so I have to buy one. So hopefully I will find one soon and get it, install it, and then the turbo system should be good to go, and hopefully I have a lot less codes on the computer. So hopefully I taught you guys something in this boost leak section. This applies to more than just Porsches. Any turbo car, you do the same type of thing. You just take your time and pressurize it, and have a little soap bottle, spray it, and you'll find the leak. One leak at a time, and you'll notice that the leaks will get less and less, and your system will hold more pressure. When I just started and I put my first leak that was over here, I could say that at 2 psi the pressure started leaking. So there's that, and that's it. I hope you guys learned something from this show. Please like the video and subscribe. I need the subscribers, I need the likes and the comments. It's still a new channel. It helps the algorithm and get me pushed up higher into the viewing table or whatever it is. And it is what it is. Last and not least, if you guys don't got haters, if you don't got haters, you ain't popping. See you in the next episode.